Hello everyone. I wanted to go over my impressions with the Arcade1Up cabinet since I received them a little over a month ago, including their quality and my thoughts on Arcade1Up as a company. Just in case you were wondering, I purchased these cabinets on my own and I am not getting paid to review them. All of my interactions with Arcade1Up have been with their customer service staff and initiated by me. I also want to clarify that this is in no way an in-depth review of the games contained with it, but the cabinets as a whole. I would like to start by saying that I have been very pleased with these cabinets. I happen to own a few full-size cabinets, and despite the obvious differences in construction quality and materials, it is my opinion that Arcade1Up has hit the mark with their product, finding the right balance between quality and cost, and giving us an option that makes it easier for us to justify to a spouse or significant other. Having owned and moved several real-deal full-size cabs, and my back and joints just recently having turned 40, I can tell you, it is a breath of fresh air to finally be able to just walk into my local Walmart and pick up a cabinet on my own and fit it in my small SUV, no U-Haul truck with a loading ramp, no phoning one or two of my buddies to see if they're available, and most importantly, not having to break my back and knees maneuvering a 300 to 500 pounds behemoth from origin to destination, the latter usually being my basement. Coming up with a smaller, lighter, and cheaper arcade cabinet is nothing revolutionary. A number of years back, there was a feeble attempt at this by a company called Big Electronic Gaming Limited with their Midway and Konami offerings. These were initially offered at a relatively hefty cost of around $450, but very quickly plummeted to as low as $99 brand new. There was a reason for this. The build quality was abysmal for its price point, both in the cabinet design as well as the control panel. To pour salt on the wound, the system was based on a Nintendo on a chip part with matching ROMs, meaning that the games did not reflect an authentic arcade experience. Where Arcade1Up has succeeded is in designing a cabinet with materials that help them keep the product at a low price point, but still make us feel like we're not getting ripped off. Now, I realize some people may still believe $299 retail is not cheap, but the sum of all parts, including the licensing costs for the marquee and extra titles, make this a reasonable decision. Keep in mind, within weeks of their release, most retailers drop the price to around $249 for Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals. I can see this becoming the future price point once the company has established a steady sales stream and solved most of the issues prompting warranty claims, which always hurts the bottom line. Now, this brings me to the next point, flaws. If you have been keeping up with video reviews on the Arcade1Up lineup, you are likely familiar with the common issues that have plagued a large number of these cabinets. Even loving these cabs as dearly as I do, mine are not immune to many of these issues. I'll begin saying that my Deluxe 12-in-1 is by far my favorite of the bunch in terms of its artwork and presentation. Despite its very inclusive name, it still retains marquee titles, this being Centipede and Asteroids. I think that was a great decision by Arcade1Up as it allowed for the opportunity of blending in some amazing artwork, thus making this the most beautiful to look at of all cabs released so far. Subjective, I know, but I feel strongly about this. Aside from the very common complaint of the spinner controller being, well, horrible, mine has been otherwise perfect. The cabinet had no scuffs or dents and the artwork looks flawless. Gameplay has also been great, and I have somewhat gotten used to the horrible spinner. There are countless videos now on YouTube explaining how to modify better suited spinner controllers to work with this cab, for those who simply cannot put up with the provided one. My Rampage cabinet, which is currently in a different room, was equally flawless. However, mine has the dreaded gauntlet ROM bug that causes the game to crash once you hit a high level, usually 30 plus. It appears the ROM issue also affects the game's performance and introduces sound distortion, or even missing sounds. My Street Fighter II cabinet was also physically flawless. I think I completely locked out with these 3 units, as I kept seeing horror stories from other reviewers receiving theirs dinged up and scratched. This has got to be my second favorite of the current lineup in terms of artwork and presentation. Objectively, Street Fighter II Champion Edition is one of the ugliest cabinets ever conceived, but nostalgia trumps reason, and I wasted probably hundreds of dollars in quarters back in the early 90s on this one game alone, and having a mini version of it in my house is just an awesome thing. But I did run into problems with mine. One of the problems I haven't seen anyone else report, so I tried to live with it. My LCD display seems to be calibrated toward the cool part of the color spectrum, with whites looking blue and reds having a very muted appearance. It is somewhat difficult to capture this on video due to white balance issues, but I will show you a side-by-side picture I took of my Street Fighter 2 and Deluxe cabinets, which comes close to showing what it looks like in person. Both my Rampage and Deluxe have similar color calibrations, so this seems to be isolated to my Street Fighter 2. Like others, I also discovered that on Super Street Fighter 2 and Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, any left channel exclusive sound effects are missing. It appears that Arcade1Up used a default ROM configuration that expected stereo audio, and those two games rely heavily on channel spatialization for their effects. This does not affect Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, however. Last but not least, the all too common control stick nubs unthreading themselves problem. This can be easily fixed with Loctite or similar, but it is a bit frustrating if you don't want to risk your knobs getting stuck on there forever. I intend to eventually upgrade my sticks and buttons, so not a huge issue in the long run, but I still consider this a design flaw, so I had to mention it. All of that said, the fit and finish of these cabinets, given the price point, is superb. Many use the IKEA furniture comparison because of the way these arrive disassembled, but let me tell you, it is simply amazing how well these parts fit together. I wish I could say that of every piece of IKEA furniture I've ever put together. My satisfaction with these cabinets doesn't end with their quality. I have been quite impressed with Arcade1Up's customer service too. My very first communication happened just before I received my 3 cabinets, and it was in regards to the by then well documented control panel artwork wear issue. The response was both immediate and generous as they placed orders for me to receive all 3 of my corresponding cabinet overlays. Once I did receive my cabinets, the responses to my subsequent inquiries reporting my aforementioned issues have been equally prompt and generous. I am scheduled to receive the fixed PCBA for my Rampage Gauntlet cabinet issue, as well as a brand new replacement LCD panel for my Street Fighter 2 machine. The amazing part is that they have not once asked me to send them any of the defective parts first as part of a conventional RMA process, and neither have they requested any payment to cover shipping costs. That to me is simply admirable. A few final thoughts. These cabinets definitely fall into a niche market. Even at a 3/4 scale, it is unrealistic to assume large numbers of people having the room needed to collect these perpetually. At some point, most Arcade1Up owners, myself included, will reach a point where the reality of practicality and angry spouses will shatter all of our hopes and dreams. That said, I am rooting for Arcade1Up as a company, and my wishful thinking is that they'll find innovative ways to continue bringing the nostalgic arcade experience to the masses. Whether that's achieved by farther shrinking their design, bar tops anyone, or introducing upgradable cabinets with cartridge or memory-based game multi-packs, they've got their foot in the door with some pretty big names in the retail business, and I remain hopeful that some creative business-minded geeks on the inside will steer the company towards a sustainable business model to continue to help them succeed and continue to bring joy into our basements, or dens, or living rooms. What do you think of Arcade1Up? Feel free to leave your comments below, and if you've enjoyed the content of this video or found it useful in any way, please subscribe. I am just getting started with my channel, but intend to add more content reviewing all sorts of things, from games to automotive trends and everything in between. Thank you for watching.